This is a choripán, an Argentinian sandwich built around grilled chorizo. It's got crisp bread, a juicy sausage, and this sharp, herby chimichurri that cuts right through all of it. So today, let's break down what makes a great choripán and how you can make one at home without hunting for hard-to-find ingredients. Let's go! Chimichurri is the star of a good choripán. Without it, you've got sausage and bread. Sorry, hot dog. But with it, this whole thing is a different league in itself. It cuts through the fat, adds a bit of sharpness, and keeps every bite from feeling heavy. Start with a fresh parsley, roll it up, hold it down with a claw, and slice it thin. Then run your knife across to get a fine chop. That's how I do it. The rest, I'll leave it to you. Next, grab a red bell pepper, cut it like so. Then cut fine juliennes, and then fine dices. These are going to add a bit of sweetness and crunch in there. Throw these into a bowl with a clove of grated garlic, salt, and some black pepper. Now listen closely. To get this right, you've got to add 3 parts extra virgin olive oil to 1 part red wine vinegar. Feel free to scale it up and down, just keep that ratio intact. Now give it a good mix so the oil and acid emulsify. It's critical to ensure that you have a condiment that feels smooth rather than oily and watery. Taste it, adjust for seasoning if needed, and that, my friend, is your chimichurri. It works great on eggs, meats, pretty much anything. Think of it like a bland eraser. If you let this sit even a couple of hours, ideally overnight, the garlic mellows out and everything comes together into something a lot more rounded. Now once you have this ready, the rest of the sandwich gets a lot easier to get right. And if that's it, let's talk about the chorizo. A good choripán lives or dies on chorizo. Chorizo is a spiced sausage, usually pork, sometimes a mix of pork and beef, and it's the backbone of this sandwich. Now broadly speaking, there are 2 kinds of chorizos. Spanish chorizo is cured, meaning it's fermented, dried, and ready to eat as is. Mexican chorizo is raw, fresh, loose, and needs to be cooked. Argentinian chorizo sits closer to the Mexican side. It's fresh, not cured, which means when you grill it, you get that proper browning, fat rendering, and all the good stuff. Now where I live, if you go looking for chorizo, you'll most likely find the Spanish kind. And while I dig those, that's not really what a choripán is built on. However, if that's all you can find, go ahead and use it. It'll still make a good sandwich. Or you can get a bit closer with something like a spiced Italian sausage. Still juicy, still grillable, keeps you in the general direction. Now if you want to get really close to that Argentinian style choripán, making your own helps a lot. I've got 250 grams of minced pork here, and I'm adding an additional 80 grams of chopped pork belly. Roughly an 80 to 20 lean to fat ratio. Let that chill in the fridge while you mix your seasoning. Now keeping in mind the total weight of the meat, in a bowl add about 12% red wine, 1.5% salt, 1% ground paprika, and then some cumin, black pepper, and just a touch of nutmeg depending on how spicy you would like your chorizo. Grate in a clove of garlic and mix it through. Add this to the meat and start mixing. Really work it with your hands until it turns sticky enough to hold onto your palm when you flip it over. Now before you commit to this, it's a good idea to cook a small piece so you can taste it. Adjust the salt or any seasoning if needed. Once everything is dialed in, here's the part that makes this way easier. Place some of the sausage mix in a cling wrap and roll it into a cylinder, twisting each side to pack it in tightly like so, tucking the ends in like this. Now it's ready to be stored in the fridge or the freezer, and you'll have a dang good chorizo when you need it. You can also transfer everything into a Ziploc bag, seal it, and press it out into a flat sheet. Then portion it roughly to the size of your bread using the back of a knife. And then freeze this. No casing, no shaping, no fuss. And because it's flat, you get more surface area, more browning, more flavor. With the sausage out of the way, let's talk about that bread. Traditionally, choripán is served in a crusty French roll, something with a bit of a bite on the outside, soft enough inside to soak up all that fat and chimichurri. I found this really nice baguette locally, and honestly, it works great. But if I can be a little opinionated, pan pebete is a way superior option. It's an Argentinian milk bread, soft, slightly sweet, almost like brioche, but lighter and a bit more structured. The kind of bread that doesn't clash with the sausage and makes for an extremely satisfying sandwich. The only problem is, unless you're in Argentina or Uruguay, you'll probably never find it where you live. And that's why you should make it. In a bowl, add 300 grams of milk, 2 eggs, 10 grams of yeast, 10 grams of salt, and 50 grams of sugar. Whisk that all together, then add 500 grams of bread flour. This is going to make about 10 pieces. Once the mix starts to come together, transfer the dough to a work counter and get in with your hands to knead for a good 3 to 4 minutes. Using a bench scraper is a lifesaver here. Let me say that again. Use a bench scraper. After 3 to 4 minutes of kneading, add unsalted butter, about 66 grams in total, but do so in 3 stages. Add a third every time, knead till smooth, then repeat. It's going to be messy at first, but keep kneading using the bench scraper like so, and it's all going to come together into a soft, smooth dough. The total kneading time is about 15 minutes. No, I do not have a stand mixer. Yes, it takes some elbow grease to get a good bread in a short amount of time. The reason why you do this is because the yeast eats the sugar in the dough and releases carbon dioxide. Kneading builds a strong gluten network in the dough that traps carbon dioxide and helps the dough rise. Once the dough feels and looks smooth like this, cover it, leave it out for about 1 to 2 hours to rise, then cover it with a cling film to store it in the fridge overnight. An overnight rest in the fridge brings out a deeper, more developed flavor. Next day, portion the dough into 10 balls of about 95 grams each, cover and let them rest for about 15 minutes, then roll them into small cylinders like this, cover and let these rise again for about an hour. After an hour, brush with egg wash and bake at 375 degrees Fahrenheit in a preheated oven for about 20 to 25 minutes, with a bit of steam in the oven if you can manage it. Steam is a way more efficient carrier of heat than dry air and is a great help when baking bread. After about 20 minutes, the bread should be done baking. Traditionally in Latin America, they brush this with a thin cornstarch solution called chuño for a glaze, but I feel butter does the job pretty well. Now these pebetes have a thin crust on the outside and they are billowy soft on the inside. They go great with ham, cheese, mortadella and other deli meats, but those pale in comparison to a choripán. Start with the chorizo. The ones we made last night and froze are all set and good to go. Now traditionally, you'd want to grill these outside, but you don't really have to. Heat up some oil in a heavy bottom pan and lay these in carefully. Get a good browning on each side. It will get smoky because hey, you're browning sausages. Once they look like this, pull them out onto a cutting board and cut them lengthwise, essentially butterflying them. Back in the pan, cut side down and let this brown properly. Once done, pull them out again, get your bread, slice it open, leaving a hinge at the back and toast the inner side lightly in the juices left behind in the pan. Then layer on some chimichurri on the bottom side, then the chorizo, and then some more chimichurri on top. At this point, you want to contain yourself, close the sandwich, take a good look at this mouth-watering treat you have crafted. Now once you bite in, the bread is soft, the chimichurri explodes like a flavor bomb, and when you finally hit the chorizo, it's extremely gratifying. Now folks, if you want to take this sandwich to the next level, top it up with salsa criolla. Thinly slice an onion across the latitudes, throw it in a deli container, thinly slice some tomatoes, they go in too, then add some salt, pepper, dried oregano, extra virgin olive oil, and juice from half a lemon. Put the lid on and go to town with this thing. Shaking it well will coat everything evenly and taste smacking delicious. To assemble this one, layer the bread with chimichurri, then goes the chorizo, some more chimichurri, and then top this up with salsa criolla. And listen, if you bite this sandwich, you'll know that salsa criolla leads the flavor profile than simply being an add-on. Now given how easy this is to make, I definitely recommend adding it to your choripán every single time. But hey, let's say you're looking to impress a special someone. Here's what you do. Steam some onions in water until they become soft. Add just a little oil and a pinch of salt. Stir until they caramelize and look irresistible. Portion a baguette, slice it open, drizzle with some olive oil on the inner sides, and add provolone or gouda or any melty cheese on one side. Toast to melt the cheese in an air fryer, pull out. Chimichurri goes first, then the chorizo, some more chimichurri on top, then add those caramelized onions. Now this, ladies and gentlemen, is such a treat. You'll never regret spending all that time caramelizing the onions when you bite this tang. And finally, if you just want to boost the tang in your choripán, simply make some sriracha dijonnaise. 2 part mayo, 1 part Dijon mustard and 1 part sriracha. Mix well. Top it up on both sides of the toasted bread, then the chorizo. And yes, it's the one from the chorizo sheet we stored in the freezer last night. Add the chimichurri. Close, and folks, this sandwich is the one you make for your favorite person, yourself. Now, if you like the idea of an Indian guy broadcasting his experimentative sandwich wisdom on YouTube, watch this video next where I break down how you can make an amazing banh mi sandwich similar to how the Vietnamese do it without going to Hanoi for grocery shopping.